In the wise words of Sun Tzu, we're so back. Where we left off in the last video on this challenge, I had beaten 15 out of 16 levels so far. I still couldn't quite beat R3E1, so I'm going to leave it for a 5th video in this series when I've gathered all of the unbeaten levels in the game to grind out. It unfortunately doesn't get easier from here. If you haven't seen the last video I did, basically I'm trying to beat as many levels as possible in GTFO using only the bots and as few exploits as possible. I would tell you to watch it, but most of that video was low in visual fidelity. Good news, however, after calling in some favors with the various organizations I'm part of, you can actually see what's happening on screen now. And on my end, I even have a whopping 100 plus frames consistently. Having explained a majority of my strategies in the first video, we're now ready to speed through 19 more levels here, though I will re-explain some concepts when they're relevant. Rundown 3 will be quite straightforward with only 7 levels, leaving a majority of them in the 4th rundown. If you're curious about why they went from 10 levels in Rundown 2 to 7 in Rundown 3, I do think some context is due for the way this game was developed. This was an early access game like most games nowadays. However, instead of being a game that's half-baked with missing mechanics, this one was quick to establish most of the mechanics and content right out of the gate. It wasn't perfect, obviously, but that's why they were in early access, to fix what they already had and make it better. They were developing the levels over time, starting with Rundown 1, then 2, and so on. They would pull the current rundown and then add in the new one for people to play for a few weeks, keeping track of certain data points. This data included things such as completion rates and attempts on a given level or rundown as a whole. Rundown 1 was quite simple on purpose, but then they overshot with Rundown 2, creating a much more difficult game. Bear in mind that originally, those players didn't have access to all the tools we have now, such as the scattergun or even the knowledge of how enemies spawn. So the developers get this information back for Rundown 2 and realize that way fewer players are beating their game. Shocking. So the response was to pull back a little bit and make an easier rundown again, leading to what is Rundown 3. This gave them some more time to figure out how to maintain the hardcore difficulty without alienating gamers. We'll see the results of that in Rundown 4, but I think it's more appropriate to talk about it when we get there. I've already gone on too long about this. You're here to watch me play with myself. On a separate note, I'm going to try to keep things more concise and to the point, but I'll ramp up the pace after the first few levels. I want to experiment more with this video to find a good creative middle ground while discussing the challenges I encountered. Anyways, on with the game, starting with R3A1 Resuscitation. Dropped into the fray once more, a familiar object joins us. The neonate that I definitely managed to smuggle out of R2E1. The game does have a storyline regarding the levels, so we'll see certain things show up in a sort of chronological order. Thankfully, the difficulty does not follow the neonate, so we're in the clear for this mission. Our objective is to take it to a machine at the end of the map to resuscitate the homunculus inside, then return to the entrance with it in hand. As far as A missions go, this one doesn't do anything too crazy, so I decided to bring some different weapons. The DMR functions like the one from Halo Reach, being a one-shot headshot to the little guys, and a pump-action shotgun to really unload into giants.
Holy shit. You guys destroyed him. What the fuck?
We need a key behind this door, and it has a Class 2 alarm to warm us up. Yeah, it's pretty clear that I almost never use other weapons with how poorly I use these ones. In the vein of testing things, I wanted to see just how strong the DMR was. Apparently, I deal 26.1 damage to the vulnerable spot on a scout. They have 42 health. Very good to know indeed for when I never use the DMR again. We get the key and head back. It opens up this security door. No alarm, no fuss.
Just feel like having a little fun.
We're led to the last alarm in our way, a Class 4 alarm. After waffling around, we find our special machine. It's actually random which machine here will be the correct one to use. What I didn't learn for a while though is that the correct machine has the lights on, which can be subtle in all the visual noise of the game. Now that we've resuscitated this little homunculus, an air alarm begins. Oh yeah, I'm sure you didn't miss them, because I certainly didn't.
He went down. That's weird.
The waffling around catches up to me as my bots start dropping. I'm honestly not even sure why, because they should have been fine. Once I arrive at extraction, I do my safety strategy of kicking the dead bots and bringing them back to spawn next to me. They spawn with 1 health when I do this, however, so it's better in a safe situation like this. You could hypothetically do this with real players too, but they have to load the map again, and also they'll spawn exactly where they were before. We're off to a pleasant start. With how close my team came to wiping, I figured I should take this more seriously sooner than later. I go back to the old faithful pistol and shoddy next mission, a tried and true combo to the end of my days. I'll remind you why I chose these weapons real quick. The Hell Auto Pistol has a huge ammo capacity and easily stuns every enemy in the game, though I mostly apply this to the smaller enemies who take 1 shot to stun. And the Scattergun just does an absurd amount of damage in comparison to every other weapon, and we'll see it shine during this video with new enemies. But anyways, the next mission harkens back to what I was saying about difficulty in the game. This level is an easier version of R2D1. You know, the one with the ladder incident. We'll see this happen a few times throughout the game, where they rehash certain missions to make it harder or easier in a unique way. Let's get into it then, shall we? R3A2 Purification.
I just hit the same mission. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Alright.
We gotta find 4 power cells this time instead of 5, like an R2D1.
I don't think this is infection fog. Then again, such a title as purification. It might be.
Yeah, it's infection fog, but also like last time, it'll lower with each cell we plug into the main cluster. 1 cell will be in this initial zone, making it free effectively with bots who can grab it in the fog. They don't take infection damage if you recall. As for the other 3 cells, they're each behind their own blood doors in the main cluster room. With a mine deployer, we really don't have too much to worry about there.
We're best friends.
I begin with the first 2 blood doors, saving the 3rd one for later since it's submerged in fog. With those both cleared, we do a bit of sneaking through each zone, scouring them for cells. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair to beat this whole mission guns a-blazing. They give so much ammo, and there's not even 1 proper alarm throughout the level. You really can see just how much the devs overcorrected to make this game easier, but I totally understand why they do that.
Get him! One of these is gonna be a giant. Oh. Fucking zipped up. Dude, you fucking learn from them.
Triple kill.
With 3 total cells acquired, the fog lures enough that we can enter the last zone with no trouble. But it too is a blood door, and it's in this very cramped space. I could absolutely put a mine on the door, though I can't guarantee that the bots will come out alive. They run very unpredictably, so my best course of action is to just use our other tools. Seafoam and a lot of bullets.
I hate you guys.
After some more aggressive sneaking, we find our last cell. Plugging it in begins a similar sequence to R2D1, with a blackout occurring temporarily and then an alarm to finish.
Is that it? Oh, that's it. What?
Yeah, it's just a class 1 alarm, so we book it back to extraction after that.
Oh my, what the hell happened there? His body went blind. Damn it. Boom.
So that was a quick mission too. I wasn't kidding when I said they made it easier in this rundown. The infection fog presented virtually no threat there, and the only active threats were blood doors, not alarms. Thankfully, Rundown 4 should more than make up for the slight decline in difficulty, and it'll only get worse from there. Up next, we have ourselves another rehashed mission, this time being an easier version of R2D2, the really long reactor startup mission with the death compilation from last video. Given how handily I beat R2D2, this should also be no problem. I'm gonna spend some time explaining things while completing it, since it's a chill mission otherwise. R3A3 Bolt. I'll start off by giving a brief explanation of reactor startups. It should be noted that this stage is quite easy, but we'll have a few more reactor startups to go through. It's a wave-based objective where we just need to survive and wipe out all the enemies sent our way. We'll pretty much always take 3 turrets for objectives like this. Once we finish a wave, we'll have to input a code on the terminal we started at. Sometimes the code is given to us, and other times we need to move into newly opened zones to find a terminal with the next code. Everything we do is on a timer. The waves being sent at us, the opportunity to input each code, and even the time in between those actions. This is where most of the pressure comes from when you're scrambling to find a code while not dying. I'll put a copy pasta up on the screen that goes around the community. It's meant to explain the first reactor mission, R1C1, in very simplified terms for newer players.
Oh hey, big.
Anyways, the way enemies spawn during this objective is different, but it's a bit more complex to explain. I'd recommend looking to the wiki's explanation if you're more interested.
Take it easy, babe.
The difficulty when running bots only is that we'll often have to spend all of our extra time looking for resources. Of course, that's why we had the extra time in the first place, but having that responsibility solely on my back, it makes for a tough situation. On another topic, map knowledge is always important on any given mission, but with the added factor of time, it makes the difference between winning and losing an attempt. If you don't know where you're headed, you could easily waste several minutes when you only have 4 to look for a code. But anyways, being post-god transformation here, this mission is a breeze.
Big. I don't know why my audio is very directional.
There was a setting on Windows 11 that was ducking audio from behind me. No idea why it's even a default setting, but I turned it off starting in Rundown 4.
We're out.
After inputting the last code, we get to extraction and finish the level. Not much to say about that stage, and honestly not much to say about the next stage either. However, I did a lot of live commentary, so look forward to my hot mic moments. I'll mention this now that I want to show off the fun moments and stuff, but if you're just here for the challenge, I'd recommend skipping ahead to R3C1 where the going gets more complex. But otherwise, here's R3B1 Threshold. This is a terminal uplink mission, the one where we input codes at a terminal while fending off waves of enemies. I'm just going to get us to the terminals as fast as possible since the majority of the work here is sneaking through each room.
Look at these guys just fucking chilling. Because I have to do all the work. Oh, hi. I do believe they've alerted. Give him a little kiss on the lips. Listen, a little optimism wouldn't be unwelcome. The fucking cutoff.
With that alarm over with, we have ourselves 3 security doors in this next zone.
Look, important doorway. Oh, what is a forward exit point then?
Past me is correct here. It leads to the forward exit point, and then the other 2 doors lead to the 2 terminals for the objective. All 3 doors have alarms on them, so we set up to clear the side doors first.
You don't know that. You don't know that. See? They were just waiting for us to pull the alarm. Come on, boys.
With those done, we just have to clear the terminal uplinks in both zones. I had an epiphany once I found the first terminal, however.
This mission, wow. Dude, it's amazing the way the format of the missions, just like immediate nostalgia once you recognize it. Like the missions really are unique, even though they use the same assets for the most part. But like, the layout is just so particular. Uplink, Connect? Yeah. Xbox Connect.
The uplinks are only 4 codes long, which is about how long it should take for the enemies to get to us if we're lucky.
Ready, boys? You guys are being really fucking dumb right now. Great, let's go, boys. Ooh, big shooters, big shooters. Oh my god. I thought he was gonna hit me, and then he didn't. I still went for it. Nice.
Finally, we find the last terminal and get started right away. Something to note here is that I didn't plan this very well. We still have the class 5 alarm to deal with on the door at the end, and finishing this terminal will begin an error alarm.
I don't think there's an error alarm. Oh, there is an error alarm. Where's the other one? Oh, it's up. I hit your feet for maximum damage. Come on, let's go. Dude, you guys are being really fucking dumb right now. You gonna revive him? No, it's great, but fuck, whatever. This isn't that hard of a fucking scan, they just ran into a giant. Oh, it's a long one. Great.
And that's that. I was originally planning on speeding through that level, but with all the silly things I had to say, I felt it was worth cutting back on the scripting. Ideally, I could pop in with dialogue more often, but I tend to lock in pretty hard while playing. Anyways, the next level should have been a lot shorter to record, but I waffled around a ton. There's a nice surprise near the end, so look forward to it in R3B2 Pressure. The neonate in its reactivated state joins us again.
Look, that thing. Goddamn, look at, like, what is that? What is in there? Is that the fetus from Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus? I do believe it is.
Similar to the first mission earlier, we're taking this to a machine at the end of the map and then taking it back to the entrance to extract. An error alarm will of course be waiting there, but until then, we'll be navigating some infection fog in here. A fog turbine will be provided ASAP. There's 3 security doors in here. One will take a cell to unlock, and the other 2 both have cells. However, both of those doors have alarms on them, a class 3 and a class 5. I didn't really strategize much here and pulled the class 5 alarm, but I really should have started with the class 3 since this room is a nightmare to defend in. The enemies all spawn right where we dropped in, which is really close by.
Dude, this is a rough fucking alarm. I'm gonna die. Oh my god. Holy jeez, there's so many enemies. Oh, you're such a bitch. I don't know what you're trying to ping, but... Oh, well, I might die. We might die. Oh, Dada made it up. And he is most certainly dead. Oh, yeah. All 3 of them are down, hey? Oh, fuck. No. We can recover this. We can absolutely recover this. Alright, blood. Holy, you almost hit me. Okay, you're such an asshole. Oh, they're no longer ping. That's cool. Dude, there's like 30 of them. There's like so many shooters. They're all shooters. Alright, well, that was cool. I hate this fucking spot. Cool. That took forever.
I felt like showing off that fight for what it was. It goes to show that you can usually get these things done by yourself, but it takes a lot of time. Rarely are we afforded that time. The alarm took 4 minutes to clear, with half of that being spent soloing the enemies. But no big deal.
Really? You know what? You guys got it. That's crazy.
We get the 2 cells we'll need for the mission in here.
There's 2 in here? What the fuck?
I opt to do the class 3 alarm to get some resources. Now that I have the other door open, all the enemies will spawn in there. Which means I should have done the easier class 3 alarm and then the class 5 alarm to have enemies spawn further away, but hindsight is 2020.
That worked extremely well.
After gathering resources, we make our way towards the objective. This whole zone is submerged in infection fog with a few spitters sprinkled on. And also some harmless bubbles. I wonder if something wicked comes this way. We now need to complete a class 4 alarm in here. Fog repellers will make that much easier, thankfully. With that over with, we can trace the source of the harmless bubbles. They're actually considered tumors, but I can't verify if they look like this in real life, unfortunately. Meet the mother. She crawls on all fours, releases a harmless fog to blind you, and most importantly, spawns little MFers. Okay, they're called baby strikers, but I think my name is also fitting. She spawns 20 at a time, all of which have 5 health and deal 4 damage. They're incredibly fast though, so it's imperative to clear them as she spawns them. My pistol is great for that. As for the mother herself, she can only take damage from the tumors being shot. Her normal body does not take damage, and that's where the scattergun comes in. This is the first of 7 enemies to not die in one hit to my scattergun, but that's a testament to why it's basically a required gun given the damage output it has. I'm going to talk more about the scattergun after I complete the mission, so just keep it in mind for a bit. We find our objective through this blood door. And with no other preparations to make, we depressurize our little fetus. Now the air alarm initiates and we gotta go. Like, leave the facility. Get out even. Fuck.
Ooh. Oh my god, that blob. What the? It didn't give me time. I was so ready for it there too.
Yeah, I don't know why I cut off early there, but whatever. I'm now going to take the time to explain an interesting quirk of playing this game online with people. This game suffers from several client-side related issues. The relevant behavior here is that enemy limbs, including tumors, have an HP value separate from the actual enemy themselves. So I can break a giant's arm before the giant dies, and even the head in this case. Continuing with this example, a giant's head has 15 limb health, though it still takes extra damage if you were to go over that. This is why you can kill a giant with 1 sniper headshot, dealing a little over 120 damage. The opposite is true for any enemy with these bubble tumors. If I were to deal more damage than the tumor has health, I'll only deal the exact amount of health that tumor has, which means that my scattergun shots have to hit as many tumors as I can in one shot to maximize damage. However, if you are playing this game online with people and you're not the host, you can take advantage of an exploit that gets past that limit. Basically, the game updates the health of the enemy before the health of the limb or tumor, meaning you can pump into one tumor with a shotgun blast and it'll deal every bit of damage with no cap. This only works with weapons like the shotgun, but it's extremely powerful and kills the mother in 2 shots. All of this to say, I can't do this myself, and it's another disadvantage to this challenge. Anyways, the next level brings back the divas otherwise known as chargers. I've struggled a lot with this level before, and after spending all this time hyping up the scattergun, I take the drastic step to change to a weapon called the Hell Rifle. It has the ability to pierce 6 enemies, and kills every enemy, including chargers, in one body shot. It'll become clear why I made this choice soon in R3C1 Alpha. This is an HSU scan mission. So we're going from point A to point B, finishing a scan, and then sprinting back to point A with a barrage of enemies behind me. Nothing too complicated. This mission splits up into 3 parts, kinda. This first part is collecting a key off to one side of the map. It can be in 2 zones, but it's just us sneaking around like usual.
Shit.
Once we collect it, we head back to the initial zone and plug it in to deal with the Class 4 alarm.
Yeah, they're doing fine. Don't aim that at me like that.
Part 2 then has us sneaking through another zone, somewhat submerged in the infection fog. I always shoot the first room because of how many enemies can be in here.
Dude, get in here, you fucking asshole.
After a few rooms, we gain high ground once more.
Ooh, we got the triple. We got the triple lined up. It would have been a quadruple if you fucking walked in front of me.
Up next is a Class 5 alarm. The last part starts with us entering this zone.
Oh, fuck, that scared me. God, I forgot they do that. That's fucking scary.
Yeah, this singer got me good, and I'll admit it's not the only time it scared me. This sound plays in a few select missions at certain points, and it usually tells you something's up. In this case, it's that we have chargers to worry about now. Once we trek through a few rooms with some scouts and chargers, we arrive at the last door, where all the challenge in this level will coincide. We'll need to look for an HSU while an air alarm sounds off. This air alarm is very special because it'll grow in intensity over time. Starting with 3 chargers every 20 seconds, that quantity will increase every minute. So 9 chargers for the first minute, 12 for the next, and so on. With a spawn cap of only 25, we'll hit it very quickly if we're not killing them. So what's the plan then? Well, first, we place the turret in the hallway leading to extraction, all the way at the start of the mission. Second, we shut this door, and this door. When more enemies spawn, they might do so behind this door, giving us some breathing room. And with this door closed, the enemies will traverse this ladder, which creates a bottleneck. What about the part where we find the HSU? Well, there will be a scout to kill.
Nice shot!
On top of some sleeping chargers in the rooms. I lucked out and had the scout in the first room, and I simply waited until he was close to the door to open it, so that I could shoot him ASAP. After that, we roll as a death ball until we find the HSU. The Hell Rifle will shine most here.
Gotta go. Oh, nice. Great, that was actually really good. Amazing.
All the planning in the world can't save me from myself, however.
No, the shotgun. Wow. Go, 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 go. Dude, that was so fucking terrible. Dude, Hackett, you're so far behind. Yeah, they're in front of us. Dude, this mission was so easy.
That was the cleanest run of that level I've ever had. None of the bots even died, and the ending was so easy that it looks like I did all that planning for nothing. But I'm being so completely honest that I was not expecting to beat that level first try re-recording it. Usually I get surrounded, and at least one of the bots, if not all of them, go down as I finish the HSU scan, leaving me to fend for myself. Fun fact about that level, this was apparently the first level available to players who played the earliest iteration of the game. I believe that the name of the mission is a callback to that fact, Alpha. And another fun fact, remembering that not all weapons were available upon first release of these rundowns, this third rundown was the one to originally introduce the Hell Rifle that I used, and I bet that was for a reason. When it comes down to it, this is definitely a hard mission with bots only, but there's always a bigger fish in the sea. Riding the slightly hectic energy into the next mission, we're going to be starting it with an error alarm. Fret not though, it won't be for the whole level. Strap in for R3D1 Bianhau. Bianhau. I don't know how you say that. The error alarm is loud and clear for us to hear. For the last time, we gotta get going with our weird baby thing.
Okay.
The first step requires us to open one of two doors in here to find a key card. It's pitch black in here, but going loud grants us omniscience, and we can see the enemies all of a sudden through these red triangles.
Dude, Dada, get the fuck over here. I can sniff you.
This key unlocks a blood door next, but with no trip mines, we gotta shoot our way through.
Holy shit, they're just running into him. Yeah, they're fucking dead. Dude, you fucking have to run in front of me like that? Oh my god. That's it. That's all. Fucking downed him immediately. How do I approach this? Yeah, god damn it, dude. Fuck.
We get another shot at the blood door.
Oh my god, you guys suck. Why do you attack so much faster?
Much better, regardless of that weird attack animation. As for the next part of the mission, our goal is to take this neonate to a machine one last time. Once we've inserted it, we can leave it behind and relax, as that's when the error alarm ends, so we gotta fucking schmooze. With our priorities straight, we head straight for the next security door, a class 6 alarm. We didn't have a lot of health, so I expected this to be the end of the run, but the enemies went really easy on us. Feeling noticeably lighter from the lack of munitions, we have one last zone to traverse, the foggy zone. If you couldn't guess, it's infection fog. However, it's not all bad, as there's no sleeping enemies here. So if you know where you're going, you'll make it to the next security door ASAP. We catch our breath up above after inserting the neonate to end the alarm.
And now we wait. Good melee.
Alright, now we can take our time and grab all the resources we missed. In addition, grabbing that fog turbine in this room. There's a forward exit point, so we just have to clear a path there to finish the mission. Backtracking takes us to this door, which has a class 5 alarm. This room is a large and awkward room to defend in, but it's more of the same thing otherwise. What's more important is the next two rooms. They reveal to us two new enemy variants. The Charger Giant is exactly the same stats-wise as a normal giant. However, the key difference lies in its behavior, sprinting to you to toss you around like a little baby. This is easily the most aggressive enemy you'll encounter in the entire game. And of course, he lacks a head to specifically shoot at for more damage. That won't be a problem with the way that I deal with giants, but the second enemy will make that a problem. Meet the Charger Scout. He too gains the ability to punch your shit in, but that's not an issue if you never alert him. But that's kind of the problem. He has too much health for me to kill with melee weapons. More particularly, he lacks a headshot multiplier. If we want to silent kill him, we'll have to use C-Foam to freeze him up before hitting him with 2 backshots. The other way we deal with him is by using my shotgun. I don't have C-Foam here, and there's 2 scouts in the same room alongside tons of enemies. So my least risky option here is to shoot 1 scout and defend from the rest of the enemies in there.
That's fine. They might even come from inside, which is absolutely desirable. He's so calm about it.
I could go through the zone entirely by sneaking, but if I alerted anything, we would be completely surrounded and dead in an instant.
I think there's resources in here too, which really makes this a cakewalk. A cakewalk? Are you walking cake? Why is this guy... I just found a kid on the street and did that to him. I don't know what you're doing, Hackett. Yeah, whatever, it's fine.
We make it to the end and find a suspicious amount of bubbles. How bad could another mother be, though? Before we can find out, we'll have one more Class 6 alarm to deal with. I think this alarm is entirely made up of small shooters, which is bizarre. The dev team put a lot of thought into designing every aspect of the mission. There's still some decisions that I can't quite figure out, especially with how easy this alarm ends up being.
Is this just an alarm of shooters? What the hell?
For no reason at all, I placed some turrets before opening this door. This is the big mother, with 2.5 times the health as the normal mother, and spawning 30 babies instead of 20.
God, the way they move is so fucking... You fucking zoom away.
It's a bit of a pushover in this instance, but that's because I had this neat shotgun. There's one last blood door before we can extract, and it's a bit different than our usual blood door, spawning way more enemies. And that's that, the last mission of the third rundown.
Everybody gets one.
Rundown 3 proves its difficulty in those last two levels, but without an E-tiered mission, it never stood a chance against our resolve. We're at 22 missions completed out of 23 so far, with 12 more to cover in this video. Each level in Rundown 4 will be much longer, however, with the introduction of optional objectives. What we've been doing is considered the main objective, whereas now there will sometimes be a secondary objective and sometimes an overload objective. Most of the time, these objectives are relegated to their own sectors, separate from each other. They'll require a special bulkhead key to open, and that's where we usually have a choice to do them or just the main. Of course, we'll always attempt to do them, and if I can't complete the extra objectives, I will not consider the level completed. As a result of this being the rundown to introduce the mechanic, every level in Rundown 4 will have a secondary, and 7 of them have overloads, indicated by these symbols respectively. These will make levels longer for sure, but in the later levels, it will make things much more challenging. This goes back to my discussion on difficulty, as the dev team was coming up with a way to make the game more accessible without compromising the hardcore nature of everything. All things considered, and I do mean all, it's a really good solution with some minor caveats. For more casual players who haven't learned all of the mechanics of this game, it allows them to get better at the game without replaying the same levels over and over, eventually getting good enough to be able to play the harder objectives. And more importantly, new players who are getting the game around this time could avoid being overwhelmed on the first level, despite the fact that this game is a bit of a sensory nightmare by design. More experienced players will of course always engage with extra objectives, and by association, the added difficulty. As for the minor downsides to this mechanic, it can make a level less cohesive due to the way that we'll have to access the extra objectives, separating parts of the map to be their own challenge as opposed to evenly distributing the challenges across the map. This also comes down to the fact that the people in charge of creating levels probably didn't have enough experience experimenting with the mechanics, because in the later rundowns, I would argue that this problem was a lot less common. Anyways, those are my thoughts about what I know and understand about this game. However, I'll be sure to do more research for the next video in case I learn more information. Take it with a grain of salt, of course. With the added length of each level, I'll be forced to shift my focus to the more challenging segments, so expect the easier levels to be very quick and condensed. And like I mentioned earlier, I've fixed my audio issues starting here, so no more Discord mutes when I turn away from a sound. Get ready for the beginning of the end, starting in R4A1 Cytology. A lab environment? In this economy? We have seen some of these assets before, but the blue hues from the LED lighting really make a difference in scenery. Our main objective is to gather 6 hard drives, reminiscent of the old Xbox 360 hard drives. Well, when you took them apart anyways.
Nobody here but us chickens, huh? Put that to... oh. There was another.
The secondary objective has 2 terminal uplinks for us to complete. I'll explain the mission as I go, but it's going to be a short one, so keep up. We'll be going directly to the bulkheads where we can choose to do just the main mission or the secondary. If you do the main first, it locks us out of the secondary, whereas doing the secondary will give us a key to then complete the main afterwards. Of course, we'll be doing the extra objectives every time, whether they bring consequences or not. There's a Class 3 alarm on this bulkhead door in particular, presenting no veritable threat. Now that we're in the secondary sector, we'll need to find our 2 uplink terminals. There's 1 terminal behind each of these security doors, both of which also have Class 3 alarms. A pushover, in other words.
Cool.
After those alarms, we have the terminal uplinks. They're both 3 codes long.
Okay guys, you don't have to shoot your guns. You don't have to shoot your guns. Stop shooting your guns, please.
It's a nice introduction to secondary objectives, giving you an idea of how they work in tandem with the main mission, and that you can choose to do them or leave them behind.
God damn, bro got executed. I want to watch this.
We get the bulkhead key and unlock the main door ASAP.
Oh my god, he's behind us. Oh, I gotta reload. Hang on. Just give me a second, buddy. Just give me a second. Thank you.
The rest of the hard drives will be found behind the main door, so we get to searching.
Let me just throw some cum on here. This should surely open her right up.
1 more alarm first.
I got a shotgun blast for you guys. Hard drive. Great. Thank you. Hard drive. Hard drive. Are they all gonna be right here? Hard drive. I can sniff you. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's go.
And that's the mission. I can't pretend that it's a challenge, so we're moving on. The next mission adds some flair to the optional objectives, featuring the first overload objective. There is additionally a secondary. Anytime we see both an overload and a secondary, expect it to be long and hard. The mission, that is. Let's continue the journey, shall we? R4A2 Foster. Right off the bat, we get started with the main objective, which is to retrieve 2 of these cryo containers and extract with them.
Guys, it's okay. I got it.
We can actually complete this objective without interacting with the bulkhead doors, and we'll want to be ready to extract with the items after the optional objectives, so I get going. 1 cryo container is beyond this door, as well as the cell that we'll need in a bit.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This door's not gonna hold much longer.
Oh.
The cryo case is swiftly located in the next zone.
Okay.
Moving through another zone, there's 2 generators that unlock different doors. Only one of them will take us to the other cryo container.
Ow. Damn. So much for a trick shot.
After finding it, we get our bulkhead key and make sure that the cryo containers are ready at extraction. If I put both containers in the circle, it would start the extraction alarm, so I'm careful to avoid that.
Did he spawn on top of the... I don't know what he's doing.
I go insert the bulkhead key, taking on a fight that I wasn't sure I could win. 1 sleeper, 4 prisoners.
Unload, boys.
Our next objective, once we've entered the secondary sector, is to immediately open the overload. In this zone, there's another bulkhead hub alongside 1 bulkhead key. However, it's split between another secondary door and the overload. We have to do the overload first since there's another key beyond that door. If we chose the secondary, we wouldn't get another key. That might not seem so bad, but the overload objective comes with a high cost, an error alarm to open it. This error alarm is far from the worst error alarm, but if you don't know what the objectives are going to be, or you haven't completed the main objective yet, then it'll be a swift game over for you. All we need to do once we've entered this zone is to find a terminal in the room and input a command. That's it. There's several scouts in here, and somehow one got set off as I entered. I'm not even sure why.
Wow, dude. What the fuck? I don't even know what happened.
I think it's because I shot as the door was opening, but whatever. It's a small mistake. This one got set off because I'm dumb.
Really? Okay, whatever. I don't really fucking care. Our blood.
This objective is very simple, and it tells us it's more so just meant to make the secondary harder, should you choose to do every objective here. Off to a rocky start, we get the bulkhead key in here to unlock the secondary and finish that objective. But in a fun twist, there's a class 2 alarm, so just act like I set off another scout.
Dude, it's only a class 2. I remember this being so hard, and it is not that hard. Not even remotely.
We enter the secondary, which is also filled with sleepers, and a scout who I take care of. The objective here is an HSU scan. There's 3 security doors in this room, all of which need a cell to unlock. The HSU we need will only be found behind one of these doors, so I spent some time figuring that out before spending my cell. The last thing to do is find the HSU and finish the scan so that we can go home.
You hear that? Sounds like a...
Oh, nice. Yeah, let's go.
According to the wiki, this scan is actually a class 1 alarm, unlike all the other HSU scans we've done, which have nothing tied to them. Nothing indicates this, however, besides the massive enemies that spawn.
Fuck it, we'll go. You are such a dumbass. Oh my god, both of them.
A safety strat never hurts. It's the least I could do with the handicap I've been dealt.
I'm gonna need you guys to shoot your guns. Oh, you're out of ammo. I am starting to understand why you did what you did. You know what? You didn't use all your bullets.
A taste of what's to come. Overloads often increase the challenge quite a bit, and that's definitely in line with what I've been talking about regarding difficulty. Considering they're optional, I think it's a great implementation for a game that can be too hard for more casual players, or even people who don't have a lot of time on their hands. The next mission also contains an overload, and it will have an error alarm like before. Being in the A tier difficulty though, it's quite manageable. Have fun with R4A3 Onwards. I decided to take some boosters here, but rest assured, this level is quite possible without them. The ones I have give me more melee damage, and I'm granted much more ammo when using resource packs.
Oh yeah, I have increased damage. That's very nice. The little things in life, you know?
The objective is simple, clear a path to Zone 30. An A mission with that objective just means that there's a few alarms and some sleepers in your way.
Quiet as a mouse.
Quiet as a mouse. Look dude, I'm killing anything that squeaks, okay?
Finding the first of 4 bulkhead keys, we make our way to the secondary. The main was the other option. For our second objective, we need to find and collect 5 OSIP files. And unfortunately, the whole zone is pitch black like this.
Ooh. A little scary there, huh?
It plays out like every other mission with this objective type, however, so a bit of sneaking and then some alarms. We have 3 zones, including the first one to search through. The other 2 zones are locked with keycards and class 4 alarms. This area is pretty big, so there's a lot of stumbling around.
There's really a P? God damn, this zone is huge. I've never seen P.
Quiet as a mouse.
I'm killing anything that squeaks, bud. Don't worry.
I will do it.
Yeah, so we'll do the closer alarm first.
Apparently we need a yellow key card here.
Apparently we need a yellow key card. God damn it.
Heading back, we enter the main door finally, only to immediately be presented with the option of another main door or the overload. The bulkhead key is in the same room, so no trouble there. Our overload objective is yet another terminal command, alongside an air alarm. The key difference from last mission being that we have to traverse 3 zones to get to that terminal, instead of just 1.
That was crazy.
The immediate Class 4 alarm will force us to spend some resources before continuing. After that, it's not very hard to make it to the terminal.
Break it.
The command here is Floodgate Open, giving us a small hint as to what will happen next.
We're opening the floodgates.
Okay, yes, but in this case 3 giants and 3 hybrids will spawn for a small battle. With that out of the way, we just need our bulkhead key to unlock the main door once more. Any mission with a prolonged error alarm can be quite a challenge to newer players, but unfortunately I'm simply built different, so we're moving on. With how long these missions take, I'm trying to figure out how best to show off what happens while being concise. So let me know if it feels like I'm skimming over details that you'd like to hear. With that said, we're dropping into R4B1 Malachite. Down in the depths, we're assigned yet another task. The gentle placement of 3 cells in front of us tells us that we need to find some generators to power up. As far as the main mission, it's very straightforward. There's 1 generator in this zone off to the side, though the door requires a key, much to my disappointment.
It's right here. Okay.
A majority of the sleepers will be giants, so we keep a shotgun handy.
Well, that was way less contrived than it had to be, so I appreciate that.
A lack of contrivances indeed, as the next generator was only 3 rooms away from the first, held in the initial zone. The last generator is through the main bulkhead door, where we branch off to start the secondary. There's not too much difficulty until this point, but up next is a reactor startup. With our understanding of reactor objectives though, it should be a quick one. There's a few enemies in the reactor room itself, alongside tons of resources. With my booster that gives more ammo, it makes it much easier to manage each wave of the reactor. We haven't seen this variant of the reactor room, but arguably this is one of the best rooms to defend in, with good high ground and a lot of places to maneuver. My strategy to micromanage the bots shines here. I mentioned it in the previous video briefly that I try to move around as much as I can, since it seems to force the bots to shoot more and melee less, and this room is very good for that. Starting the reactor startup, we'll have 5 waves to get through. The first code will be given to us, while the next 4 will need to be searched for in other zones, branching off of the main reactor room, and most of the time we'll be holding at this choke point by the bulkhead door. While there's no other doors to open, every enemy has to come through here, making it basically free until they start spawning behind us.
Dude, fuck off. Dude, get back here. You guys don't have to walk in there.
After the second wave ends, we have to search for the code in this zone behind the terminal. There's only 1 terminal, and it's right next to the door. Yeah, there's perhaps another flaw in how this game was developed. I'll talk more about this after we finish the mission, so keep in mind this little moment for later.
Come on, mates. Shoot your goddamn guns.
Wave 3 is over in no time, and the next zone is relatively chill. Again, relating back to the difficulty, it sorta ramps up as now we have to spend a bit more time searching here, but it's no trouble at all.
Nice.
The next wave begins to spawn enemies behind me, but with our luck, most of them were in front and went through the choke.
I was hoping that would kill him. Dude, these guys just keep fucking peppering me with shots.
The fourth wave cleared, and the next increase in difficulty comes in the form of a blood door. Speeding through the zone, we find our code and get going. With plenty of resources, this last wave should be one and done. The enemies will start spawning behind us, so I prepare for that possibility.
Also, I'm sorry, were there only 2 enemies over here? No, there's more, okay. Put that there. Oh, big guys.
I felt like something was missing. It was the hybrids, of course. Yeah, this was a cakewalk. All we have to do is find the last code. It's beyond this door in the reactor room. Oh, bubbles, huh? Be very, very quiet. The last code is in this room, and now we can get on with the main objective once more. Cool. We find the last generator in a foggy room before escaping said fog in the next zone. This is a forward extraction point, of course, and we'll have a class 4 alarm on a blood door for our final test. Yeah, we did it. This was an open book test, however, so nothing to be proud of. The level is quite simple, and if we had started with Rundown 4, this would have been our first reactor startup objective. That is a very plausible scenario, however, as if you recall, they released new rundowns and pulled the current one. It's probably thanks to that this reactor startup is pretty easy for the most part, since they didn't want to hit you with a crazy difficulty spike, especially if you didn't understand how this objective works. Anyways, this is just my understanding of the situation. It's yet another factor when it comes to designing the game and its difficulty. Moving on, I struggled with finding a way to make the next level compact while covering everything, particularly because the overload is where most of the difficulty coincides. So I'm going to try to change up the formula in R4B2 Variscite. Immediately, we must accomplish the secondary objective before starting the main and eventually the overload.
Hi guys. Hi guys, you're just in time.
The goal here is to input a command on a terminal in this one room zone. That's it. What I neglected to mention though was the error alarm we started to get in here. It's 3 little guys every 45 seconds, which is on par for a B-tiered mission. It definitely adds some difficulty to the overload, but it's just a nuisance more than anything. The main objective is quite simple too. All we need to do is collect 4 cells nearby to this generator cluster and power it up. There's a few alarms, but nothing too crazy.
Okay. Really? I can't believe you hit that.
The real meat of this stage will be found in the overload, like I said earlier. The final objective alongside this error alarm is to collect 6 OSIP files and lockers and such. We start in this large room with 3 security doors in every cardinal direction, each one holding its own challenge, and we need to enter them to find the OSIPs, of course. The door on the right has a class 4 alarm on top of a blood door. During both of my attempts, I avoided this door because of how harsh the blood door is. It spawns a ton of dudes, but alongside them is a bunch of sleepers in this huge room. It's quite easy to get overwhelmed. The door on the left is a class 6 alarm, opening to a zone with 3 scouts, but otherwise the risk is minimal here. I went with this door first.
It's so weird, I don't know what they're getting stuck on.
The enemies spawn quite far away, but for some reason their pathfinding breaks and they get partially stuck over here, and it makes this alarm much easier.
Oh, I gotta go. Oh my god, you were hiding. But you did have a meaty fucking ammo packs.
Finding 2 OSIPs of the 6, the north door is the only one left. The crazy challenge here is that it's actually a free door, but it leads to another security door with a class 5 alarm. The trek there, however, went quite sour as I tried to preemptively set up for the alarm.
There was a fucking scout. Alright, whatever, that's fine, that's fine. Eat it.
I hurried to the alarm to take advantage of the newly spawned enemies. It isn't too much trouble though, despite the circumstances. The next zone is where the crazy challenge is found. 2 sleeping mothers in this zone, and it is entirely possible that they spawn in the same room. If you have the ammo though, you can easily dispatch of them like so. My first attempt at this mission ended here because I didn't have ammo. I could have spent time searching for it, but I really figured I would find just 1 ammo pack on the way.
A mother. I forgot about that. There's 2 fucking mothers in here, god damn it.
Despite my patience, eventually an enemy screamed from the air alarm, and it was Jover.
Oh, fuck me, man. That's it. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude.
Back to the winning attempt, where I found the second mother and took care of her and her babies. Or feti, if you will. After that, we can finish the rest of the level comfortably, finding the rest of the OSIPs and leaving to complete the main real quick.
Watch it. You did great, I'm not gonna kill you.
That overload is designed with the error alarm in mind, as you can't actually access it without completing the secondary. The only extra bulkhead key is in the secondary, alongside the one to open the main door. It's an interesting way to force you to do the objectives in a specific order, and we'll see much more of that down the line. Anyways, the next level brings us back to the more structural environment, alongside some interesting challenges. In particular, we'll see the introduction of a new scan mechanic, purple heptagonal scans, otherwise known as sustained scans. They take a really long time to finish usually, and they're full team scans. That might not be so bad, but the catch is that if a teammate downs or someone leaves a scan in the middle of it, the number starts to go down. So ideally you finish these ASAP. Anyways, here's to a fun time in R4B3 Chrysolite. The stage was a familiar one, and I spent some effort to recall which one this was.
This is definitely the one with the mother. It's... Oh, god, fuck, why did that scare me?
Though I was right in that there's a mother, this was not the stage I was thinking of. The main objective involves doing some terminal uplinks, 3 of them which are 4 codes long, so pretty much free. We have to do the secondary and overload objectives first, however. There's no choice this time since we need a bulkhead key to unlock the main door right now.
Alright, fucking got me there.
Starting the secondary right away, you'll notice the Mexico filter.
El objetivo es obtener 2 gases cryogénicos más y llevarlos a la extracción.
We enter this room to find 2 scouts and a really cool looking asset. Calling it an asset doesn't really do it justice, but whatever. I can't express how cool some of the art in this game is. The colors being very washed out most of the time creates such a strong contrast when there is a unique set piece. I just have to point out how pretty it is. Anyways, in this room are 3 security doors, one of which leads to the overload, which I start right away. There is a class 1 alarm on this door, but surprise, this is the purple hexagonal scan I mentioned, and it's a large one too, taking upwards of a minute to complete. We get a perfect view of the catwalk leading to us, but unfortunately I can't stop the bots from shooting the enemies here, as ineffective as it is.
I mean, I can't do anything about it, so I'm just gonna watch them. These guys are the fucking bane of my existence during these.
With my loadout, I can't do much against hybrids besides stun them with my pistol during these alarms, since the scan would go down if I left to kill them. It's definitely a problem we'll encounter in the later rundowns, so I'll be sure to highlight it every time it happens. The introduction of this mechanic is an easy one, and the alarm is over in no time. There is a second alarm in this big room, so I complete that real quick too, before opening the overload door.
Let's see how many fucking bullet holes you just put into that? God damn. Turret's gonna run out of ammo pretty soon here. You guys just gave him like 3 health packs because you shot him.
Nothing too notable about that alarm, though it also uses large orange team scans. If it wasn't obvious, that means it takes longer to complete as well, though not nearly as long as the purple scan we just did. Anyways, on with the overload. Our goal is to input a command on a terminal, the simplest task. However, it's not an error alarm like last time. I suppose they didn't want to set a precedent.
That was wonderful.
We need to traverse through here and get to a blood door to find the terminal. That blood door is locked and requires traversal through another zone, locked with a class 4 alarm to find a key. And this is where I need to mention that I don't think it's worth showing every part of the level, despite how much I want to. We're just gonna skip to the blood door here.
Is there a mother? Yep. Oh, they're all up there.
Captain of the baby killing department over here, we annihilate the mother with haste. In this room is the terminal we've been looking for. Inputting the command deactivate filters does nothing noticeable to our environment, but it does spawn a bunch of enemies one time. It can certainly catch some players off if they're not ready for it. Bearing in mind the 500 hours of time I have in this game, even if I didn't know this was coming, I could probably figure it out without dying. With that finish, we go to complete the secondary by finding the cryogenic cases.
Ay. Great. My boy has the goods. Come on over, bud. I need you in here, though. Thank you.
Now for the rest of the main. It's just 2 more terminal uplinks, after which starts an error alarm.
Oh, fuck. No, you bitch.
We now need to leave.
Bro, his body's gone. There's a crazy error alarm.
Yeah, that mission took an hour and 26 minutes, which is way too long for an easier mission. As I try to figure out how to make videos, it's this sort of thing that challenges me to come up with a better way to cover levels. The extra objectives add so much time to every mission, and they'll only get harder as we progress. Hopefully I can do an adequate job explaining each mission and its difficulties. The next mission brings into light the last new enemy of this video. Boy is he a tough one. R4C1 Cognition. I know this level like the back of my hand, which does not bode well for us. Immediately, our priority is to get to the secondary objective. We'll have to collect a bulkhead key first through one of these blood doors. For a special occasion like this, each blood door spawns exclusively chargers. If I had a mine, that would have handily taken care of them, but guns will do just fine too.
Oh, hello there. It's so well lit in here now. You're the star of the show, my guy.
Anyways, after collecting the key, we make our way to the secondary. The door to which is in this large donut-shaped room. Another really cool room that we'll start to see more often, usually acting as an important place where things happen. Entering the secondary, we'll be looking for one terminal to do an uplink objective on.
Got a few fucking monsters.
Got a few fucking monsters.
This will be our first hurdle of 2 in this mission. You might think that, like the previous terminal uplinks, this should be free. However, this one in particular is 12 codes long. I believe the longest we'll see in the entire game. And worse than that, this one will spawn some chargers alongside the normal enemies. I'll need to pay much more attention while inputting each code, even waiting to clear the wave before doing the next code. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Jazz. Alright, that's all.
The turrets did a great job, and with plenty of resources to collect, we can go back to the main objective, which I haven't even talked about yet. In the donut room is the main door as well, and we need to input this data sphere into a machine like previous missions. Once we do that, we'll need to go to the forward exit point with it in hand, located conveniently through this door right over here. An error alarm will start, however it's quite tame, and with a small distance to cover alongside a class 3 alarm, it should be over in no time. Entering the next door reveals to us the second hurdle, the solution to which is to completely ignore that fucking guy and move as fast as we can. He can't hurt you if you don't look at him.
Nobody here but us chickens.
Sparing that tank's life was the correct play, and we safely extract.
Is that him? Nope. That's free. That was free!
So, in my past attempts of this mission, every time I tried to kill the tank, it would always end poorly. Every time I've beaten this mission, it's because I've ignored the tank initially. Sometimes he'll wake up from an enemy scream, though by that point, we can tank him long enough to beat the mission. To talk about this enemy for a bit, I said that he's easily the hardest part about beating levels with bots only. Solo killing a tank is really hard because his AI will always have him facing you, rarely giving you any opportunities to shoot at the tumors on his back. When you coordinate with players, you have to pinch him to get any good damage off, since one of you will be behind him at all times. The bots don't really account for this behavior at all, and they'll just group up with you constantly, making it extremely hard to get damage off effectively. He has a slightly weaker melee than Giants, sitting at 32 damage, alongside the lick attack that he does while moving. The bots also behave as if he wouldn't throw them around like babies, often trying to melee him when he gets close. He has a total of 1000 health like the mother. However, instead of taking 5 times damage, he takes 3 times. An effective health of 333 compared to 200. The scattergun is 100% designed as a counter to this guy. It isn't impossible to solo kill tanks, but it does take a ton of luck and or time, unfortunately. And when we encounter tanks, we're rarely given the benefit of time. So yeah, let's continue then, shall we? The next level took me an absurdly long time to complete, clocking in at 2 hours. I played a very safe game, however this caused some issues during the last 30 minutes. If you'll just take a look at this waveform, it's the game audio part of my recording. And I'm sure you'll notice it completely disappears over here. It'll become obvious why that happened in R4C2 Pabulum. We're greeted by a large donut room. Right off the bat, we have some important strategizing to do. Our main objective is to collect 15 GLP canisters in the usual places. We'll find those pretty easily throughout 8 zones in total. But before we even begin that, we need to consider the secondary objective. There, we'll also be collecting some items for the objective. 2 IDs specifically. They can be found behind these 2 doors, sometimes even behind just one of them. And we need that to be the case because both doors have class 3 surge alarms. While it's not impossible to do both surge alarms, we're already required to do 2 other ones. One to get into this room, and one to open the overload, for a minimum of 3 surge alarms. Thankfully, we can check on the first terminal to see if the IDs are behind 2 doors or just one.
So we're not doing this, we have to reset.
It took me 3 resets to get that to line up, something that would have dire consequences later.
I wonder if this will fuck up my game somehow to just keep reloading and entering the level. Finally, see? I just don't get your guys' obsession with being on the edge of the door. Or on the other side of it, I guess. Whatever.
Disregarding the main for now, we head straight for the secondary objective. First collecting the bulkhead key in a zone with 2 mothers.
Oh, there you are. Be very, very quiet. Hey, Scout.
After a small alarm, we head into the secondary zone, filled with sleepers and 1 scout. You know what that means.
Where? It's so fucking irritating. God damn it, dude. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And people just randomly alert, like 30 feet away.
Yeah, that irritated me in the moment, but I pressed on. The next security door has the first of 3 surge alarms. With how far the enemies spawn, this alarm ends up being a breeze, provided we finish the scans ASAP. A friendly reminder that surge alarms immediately spawn enough enemies to reach the maximum limit, replacing every enemy that dies until we finish the last scan. We gain entrance to the big room I mentioned earlier, filled with invisible enemies alongside 1 scout.
Oh, you're visible.
After a close call with said scout, we can do the next 2 surge alarms back to back. If we were to open either door after finishing one of the alarms, it would make things a lot harder with enemies coming from 2 directions. By keeping them relegated to the long hallway spawn, we make things much easier.
Oh, that was very nice of you. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here at all. Cool, we made it through the hard part.
After the aforementioned hard part, we can quickly finish the secondary objective before making our way into the overload. The goal here is to collect a data sphere, possibly the same one from last mission, I don't know. The whole zone is filled with invisible enemies, including for the first time scouts. Besides some slight model differences, they're the same as visible scouts in function.
Go, 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 go.
You can still see their tendrils, thankfully. Anyways, finding the data sphere isn't too hard. However, it will begin a harsh error alarm of invisible enemies once we pick it up. And by this point, I hadn't finished the main objective yet, so I go to do that first. This is where the audio began to see itself out. little by little.
I like the part where the music just completely cut out now.
Enjoy the deterioration compilation, if you will.
Dude, the audio is fucking bugging. Dude, the audio. I hope the game doesn't crash. Dude, the voice lines are just gone. The noise. It's gone. Dude, I can't hear the enemies anymore either. That's so bad. Oh, it fixed it. Slightly. I don't think music is playing, but... Oh, thank God. They just sound really close now. Oh, it sounds loud as fuck.
Quiet as a mouse.
Oh. Didn't even hear the gunshot from that, it was so fast. Broke the sound barrier.
After finishing the main, the last thing to do is grab the data sphere and extract. The error alarm in question is 6 invisible strikers every 10 seconds, so essentially a slower surge alarm.
Oh my God, they spawn so fast. I think they spawn in groups of... Oh no, they spawn just crazy fast.
Once they're all behind me, I'm pretty much in the clear.
Like, it's just so peaceful. Who knows what's happening?
We extract in dead silence.
The bullets, I can hear them now.
Oh, fuck! I'm down!
Besides the weirdness of that audio glitch, the level itself can be tough with the 3 or 4 surge alarms. It's the first time we've seen them since R3A1, and they haven't gotten any easier. We got fairly lucky, is all I'll say. As for the next stage, we'll see the toughest circumstance so far. It, of course, includes an error alarm, but we've made it through many of those. Find out what's different this time in R4C3 Cuernos.
Dude, this mission's ass.
This mission is ass, but it's mostly chill. All the way until we get to the overload. Let me set up the premise real quick.
Looks like we fucking monsters.
It looks like we fucking monsters.
Let's go! We have some chargers right off the bat, serving as a taste of what's to come. Next to that is some infection fog, though finishing the secondary objective clears that up, so it's basically a non-issue after that. And that is the first thing we're gonna do, so... Sorry.
You would be right. Oh my God, the fog. It hits so fast.
As for the main objective, we're required to go through an area that resembles the end of R1C2. And similarly, there are a few small chargers, 6 big chargers, and a scout to top it off. Remember this room, because we'll be back here eventually. We need to collect a key through one of these 2 doors. Both doors are free, so that's not a problem. However, once the key is obtained, we gotta go through this last door in the room I told you to remember. Now there's a class 4 alarm to clear, and it'll be a bit tougher than usual on account of all the chargers being sent our way. Once that's done, we just gotta walk through the door, ignore all the enemies in here, grab a fog turbine, and make our way to extraction. That would be simple and easy if that was all we had to do, but you didn't forget about the overload, did you?
I enjoy me a good threat level overload, if you know what I mean.
The objective there is to do an HSU scan, and then we're supposed to do the main objective. A lot more chargers wait within the overload zones. However, the challenge starts with the objective scan itself. Once we finish it, and consequently the overload, an error alarm will trigger, spawning 4 chargers every 45 seconds. And we still need to grab our extra bulkhead key to open the main door. It's just behind this blood door. We'll just go ahead and open that right up. Oh, right, the tank blood door. Yeah, how fun. This area kind of sucks to fight him in, and I'll be honest, a lot of my runs simply end here since I'm rushing to kill him.
Okay, bud.
Mind you, an error alarm will be blaring the whole time, hence the pressure.
Oh my, and we're dead. Fucking.
If I do kill him, then we can make our way to the main. I forgot to mention that there's an alarm on that door actually, so we'll go ahead and do that and burn through even more of our resources.
We're royally fucked.
I agree, we are royally fucked.
After that is the room I told you to remember. Did you remember? 6 giant chargers and a scout. If you think I'd even risk going in there with the bots, you are out of your mind. We're absolutely alerting that scout if he's not at the front door to kill. This helps me funnel the giants and not get absolutely surrounded. However, this is still something that will happen if you don't kill them soon enough.
Shit, they all went down? Nah, that's all, man. Shit.
Hi. Fuck. And this is where my best recent run ended. I've had a run go further than that, however, it was one of the ones that I recorded in horrible quality, so I'm not going to show it here. For the sake of explanation, what needs to happen after I kill the scout is that we stabilize and kill all the extra enemies alongside the air alarm enemies. Then we just get the key and, very importantly, more resources to do the last alarm. Once the alarm is over, pray that we can grab the fog turbine easily and make the trek back to extraction with the air alarm still active. I know for a fact that it's possible, but I don't think my hand can handle that grind for 8 hours a day right now. I've seemingly started developing some mild arthritis in my left middle finger, you know, the one that presses the forward key in all of these games. However, I did make it clear that I would come back for all these unbeaten levels eventually in a 5th video, and I'm hoping that by then I'll have a solution to my silly finger problem. Until then, I'll be considering this level incomplete, but very possible. I really hate to leave a level that's so doable, but with every attempt taking an hour at least, and the challenging part only happening at the end of those attempts, it's basically R3A1 all over again. I will be back for that level once I get over my skill issue. I haven't talked about it yet, but as we encounter harder levels that stop us right at the gate, for the sake of showing the level and all of its unique challenges, I have considered using certain mods to help me through the level. In this case, it's directly related to the bots, and the mod is called Better Bots, fittingly. Initially, its intended use is for giving them better AI as far as dodging enemies, being able to pick up objective items during air alarms, and even sitting in the extraction scan. However, there's other settings in the mod that allow you to basically give the bots steroids. It's aimbot. And while it sounds funny that they wouldn't already have aimbot, they are quite capable of missing, so it's a noticeable improvement when they're killing alerted enemies literal frames after they've woken up. I personally feel that any level that's possible with this mod will also be possible without the mod, but maybe I'm being naive. Anyways, if you ever want to make sure I'm doing a vanilla run or with some mods, you can take a look at the bottom right here and see this red text. The next level will put your skills to the test in maintaining composure during a reactor startup sequence. I truly hope that you're enjoying the video up to this point. R4D1 Nucleus. Find the reactor and make sure it is back online. Oh boy. We're back to form in this level. Though, based on my initial impression, you can tell it's going to be a tough one. Being a reactor startup, you have to wonder how they might spice it up. Maybe there's going to be a tank, or 3 tanks, or hell, even an invincible tank. I'm here to tell you that that would be dumb. No, instead, it's a 4-wave reactor startup, which I'll be starting as I explain the mission. 4 waves might seem short for the reactors we've done, but the trade-off is massive, as each wave is twice as long as usual, starting at 2 minutes and increasing to 4 minutes. And we'll have to search for each code in relatively big zones. What else is there to worry about? And now for the chargers. Already here. Ah, yes. Starting near the end of the second wave, we'll start seeing chargers added into the mix. Initially, it'll just be the small chargers, but the 4th and last wave will bring the big boys. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. They just keep fucking meleeing. As far as actually finding the passcodes, it's not super hard given the set terminal locations. What makes this more difficult is the limited amount of time we're given to search. Each zone with the passcode in it will be separated by a long hallway room, and the terminals themselves can be quite deep. Of course, we also have sleepers to worry about while searching, but going loud is a tried and true tactic most of the time.
I hope I'm fucking monsters.
What?
The layout of the map is going to be problematic, though not in the way that a certain Legend of Zelda dungeon layout was. The reactor room has doors in each direction, and as a result, areas for enemies to spawn from. There's not really any ideal place to play, but in this particular hallway, it seems the enemies flow much better to us, so I like setting up turrets in either direction here.
That voice line again.
Yeah, this voice line and a few others play when you walk into a particularly big room. However, I've only ever heard them play like 3 times. I'm not sure why it's so rare. Anyways, done with the third wave, we have our darkest zone yet. I end up having to clear all the enemies to find the passcode here. All things considered, I don't plan on coming back through here, and I grab all the resources I can too.
But you're... what the fuck? Alright, whatever. So, now comes the hard part. Living.
The last wave will be a brutal one, and it's probably where most players will get stuck playing this mission. I planned on sitting in the same spot as usual, but I was seemingly forgetting something.
Holy shit, that was... They're fucked. Oh, that was terrible. Shit. I knew there were big chargers. So many of them. I gotta run. That might be it. There's so many of them. I'm scared, bro. Oh my god, fucking. Didn't think he was right on my ass. Wait, hang on.
Shrouded in darkness, I made the play of a lifetime. You see, enemies will usually ignore destroying a door in front of them if there's another open door leading to the same room. And I did open both doors in here earlier.
Alright.
With the team back in action, we finished the last wave. However, the biggest challenge of the stage is coming up next.
I'm so good at this game. I think Dada. Yeah, Dada's got the fucking bio tracker now. I don't know why that happens. It's such a weird, like, thing to happen. It's a discrepancy.
For the last code, we have 10 minutes. That means there's a nice class 4 alarm to eat away at that time. Once we make it into the next room, the problem makes itself apparent. Tons of chargers and 5 scouts in one room. Scouts spawn 13 enemies each, I believe, meaning if I alert all of them, that's 65 enemies or so, plus the rest of the room. If I had the time, I would actually try to kill a scout or two before unloading on the rest of the enemies. It's what I did to beat this level before, but with no time to spare, I began my sneaking adventure. I got extremely lucky with the enemy distribution here, and I find the correct terminal ASAP.
Yell. The worst thing to do in this situation is yell.
Right under the wire. We've managed to complete the main objective. Now for the secondary. It's honestly pretty easy though compared to what we just went through. It's just a matter of not being caught off guard. We immediately have a security door to open. There will be a mother alongside a few giants, and they will alert ASAP.
Oh my god, you fucking came right to me. That was crazy.
We just need to go to the next security door and do the same thing again. 2 mothers will be in here.
There's so many. I can't fucking see anything. Okay, that's one. Dude, I can't. I'm already unable to see anything. Do your thing, do your thing, do your thing, come on.
After killing the enemies, the level is over, as we just have a terminal command to input.
You know, you boys did well. I'm not gonna shoot you.
Every reactor presents its own challenges, and this one was filled with them. I clutched hard by looping the enemies where I did, though it did involve the exploit where I boot the bots and bring them back. I don't believe I did this in my original playthrough of this mission, but I do understand that it might rub some people wrong. If it ever feels like the difference between a win and a fat L on any particular level, I'll certainly point that out. It definitely helped me there, but I know for a fact it's possible to beat it without doing that. Got all that? Great! The next level is probably my favorite, level design-wise, utilizing an existing mechanic in a way we haven't seen before. Enjoy R4D2 Growth.
I'll kill every mouse.
The first zone is completely devoid of enemies. At the end of it, we'll find 3 bulkhead doors, alongside 1 bulkhead key to make a decision with the secondary first or the overload, red pill or blue pill, black pill? The correct decision is the overload in this case, but you'll see why soon. It does have a class 3 surge alarm, but it's a cakewalk with all the breakable doors leading here.
Just stand there, yeah, thank you.
The overload only houses invisible enemies and some spitters, with the objective of picking up this cargo and taking it to the forward extraction point. This is a trap, as it starts an error alarm of 3 shadows every 10 seconds, a slower surge alarm, yada yada. We'll come back for it later. For now, we can begin the secondary objective.
Okay. I thought that was gonna kill him, but you know what, the bullet shot doing it? I'm okay with that.
The goal here is to power up a generator cluster, with 2 cells. Is it really a cluster when it's only 2? I hate to play semantics here, but whatever. We have to enter this blood door to gain access to it. Fun fact, this is where I got that footage of the bots indirectly shooting sleeping enemies. What a fun discovery that will absolutely have ramifications in the future. From here, there's 3 blood doors and only 2 of them have the cells we need. It's not too much trouble to deal with, however this blood door down here had 2 scouts in the first room that I simply had to tank.
Oh. Well, that's really not my fucking problem. I wonder if they'll spawn inside. They did. They did spawn inside.
Usually generator clusters do something to the fog levels, but not only is it already pretty low, it isn't even infectious. You know how they say, don't fix it if it ain't broke? Well, the fog turns infectious when we finish the objective. And even worse than that, it'll start rising slowly, acting as its own version of an error alarm. It guarantees you'll be low health if you don't get going. That only applies to me, however, and we can take advantage of the bots having way more health than me. The rest of the mission will involve clearing a path to the forward exit point. As the wiki describes, it's a gauntlet of slowly escalating cluster alarms, first starting at a class 2 alarm and increasing by 1 until we get to the last class 8 alarm. We're encouraged to finish each alarm as fast as possible since the fog will slowly rise. The design of the level is really cool in that you'll get to higher ground with each alarm cleared. There's 3 offshoot zones, however 2 of them require a cell to enter, and 1 of them has said cell. They all have extra resources, and 1 even has a fog turbine for when the fog is too high to avoid. But I usually skip them since they take a lot of effort to get through. With the fog fast behind us, I also want to maintain as much health as I can for the later alarms.
Dog, there's so many. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I'm not even gonna take it from you right now.
Starting with the 4th alarm, all the enemies will be chargers and subsequent waves will become larger. It rhymes, so it's true. I've been reinforcing doors up to this point, but the part where this matters most is during the Class 7 alarm. We're in a tiny room, and I can actually keep reinforcing doors without leaving to do scans. It's rare, but it's extremely helpful, as otherwise we would become overrun very easily.
I think there's charger giants in here. Speak of the devil.
Once we get to the last alarm, this is where I have to decide how to move forward. The bots usually have some ammo by this point, but I'll be quite low. Having skipped some resources, I tank the fog and look for some bullets. The health won't really matter if I can't shoot the enemies. This is one of 3 places where a run will potentially lose.
I don't think we're winning this. Oh yeah, gotta run. I don't have that much health. No, that's it. Dude. Alright. I knew I was gonna fucking lose, but like, god damn it.
The second attempt went even more poorly due to my glass cannon build. I even had a booster that gave me more ammo, so that wasn't a problem.
No, you fucker. Oh my god.
Dude.
Oh my god.
Was I doing something wrong? Not exactly, but those extra resources would probably make the difference in allowing me to shoot more freely. Due to my aforementioned finger issues, I decided to call it there as well, but I did do a run with the BetterBots mod to show off the rest of the level. Once again though, I can say confidently that this level is very possible without cheating, and I'll talk more about that after completing the mission.
Bully him. Oh my god. Pistol whip him and then just fucking blow his head off.
With the scan finished, there's only 2 more small hurdles to clear. We open the door to find a really interesting set piece. Some might call this environmental storytelling, but being a gamer, I have too low of an IQ to care. Now it's really cool looking, and is another unique set piece in the small list we have. We just have to kill this sleepy tank, and then extraction is through another door behind him. Friendly reminder though, we do need to grab that cargo from the overload sector, completely submerged in the fog now. It'll start that pseudo-surge alarm of shadows, and we need to simply rely on the bots to kill them, as I'm 1 lick away from downing. I love this game so much, but goddamn. With most of them behind me now, it's a free walk to extraction. But things get more complicated with another alarm beginning there. Chargers and shadows will test our resolve one more time. So yeah, I feel bad once again to leave that mission for the inevitable 5th video, but I've tried this one far more in my off time, and it's just so inconsistent at the end. I mentioned that I know it's possible, and that's because in one of my low quality recordings, I actually managed to get seconds away from extraction. I think it took a lot of luck, but I just barely lost the mission at the end. 3 levels out of 34 missions so far, and I mean 3 of those levels are fairly reasonable with enough skill. I know I can do them. But what about the next mission? Have you ever considered what the worst error alarm in the game is? A very good contender for that achievement is going to meet us in this final level. It's 1 tank every 4 minutes.
I'm dead. Fuck. You're such a bitch. What? Why are you looking at me? Bing him again, bing him again. Hey, you got all of them? I'm swinging out, swing out. Come swinging with me. Got him, perfect. They're all literally in the same exact spot. Whoops. I might have been the death of my team there. Yeah, I'm gonna just call it there. That was not good. Oh my god, don't kill me. Don't kill me, this will be so embarrassing. No, I can't. Fuck. Damn it.
Alright, so let's talk about this. Our goal is to take 2 cells from the beginning of the level and move through 3 alarm doors before inserting the cells into generators. Once that's finished, the tank alarm ends. Run, run, run! A couple of problems arise immediately from this. To start off, each zone is pretty big, and it takes some time to get to each security door. The first alarm is relatively short, but the next 2 are much longer purple scans. We need to time it so that a tank doesn't spawn in the middle of the alarm. The first 2 alarms are pretty well timed so that I can fight a tank and hit the next door, but the third alarm is bad because this zone is massive, and I'm busy looking for ammo by that point. In 2 hours of attempts, I never made it to the third alarm. It should go without saying, but everything you see past this point is cheated. Let's say, hypothetically, everything lines up and we fight 3 tanks total, and open the door to the generators. Well, I still need the cells from the beginning. And there's an error alarm, so we have to transport them one at a time, as the bots will not be helping me there. I believe in the best of circumstances, I'd have to fight at least 3 more tanks while getting the cells. Infection fog fills the rest of the stage now, and there's only 1 disinfect pack available to me. It's quite bleak, but if we were to complete that, we'd be relatively home free, if not for the secondary objective that this level has. It's a 6-wave reactor startup in an E-tiered mission. How quirky. We're given 45 seconds to fight a singular small wave, and then only 25 seconds to search for a passcode. It's literally impossible to not fail waves several times in a row.
Oh, there is another one. That's fine.
So you're expected to treat it as an error alarm of sorts, fighting the same small waves over and over again. Oh, also, the second room we need to go through has 4 sleeping mothers. If we had real players, we could split up and have 2 people fighting the waves while 2 search for the passcodes and sneak through the mothers. With the bots always following me, this means sooner or later, an enemy will scream and wake them up. I can imagine this will be a huge roadblock if I ever get this far on a non-cheated run, as 60 to 80 babies spawning is a bit overwhelming to say the least.
Invisible guys. I see. I forgot the waves change like that.
The 4th wave adds shadows, and the last wave adds in hybrids. Besides all the fighting that we have to do, we are given plenty of ammo, so I have a feeling it would be quite possible to get past this with enough trial and error. It's just the trial of tanks beforehand that would add a ton of pressure to being good.
Big shooters. Big shooters. You just killed that one before I could even get to it. Oh, shit. I did it too early. I busted too early. And we're off to finish the mission. After I eat the rest of this nice protein bar.
Once we finish that, we move back to the main mission, which is to just clear a path to extraction. You could hypothetically sneak through most of the next 2 zones without killing any enemies. The only problems are the infection fog, countered by the fog turbine we'll have, and the invisible enemies, countered by being omniscient. The security doors themselves have stealth scans on them, and it's the first appropriate use of them. as you can hypothetically avoid killing the enemies and favor sneaking by them. The bots arguably have the advantage over humans here, as they can just clip into enemies to get into scans.
Fuck you, dude. Ow. That was so fucking mean.
The security door here is a class 6 alarm, but if you get lucky with the scans being above the fog, it shouldn't be too hard either. The final test is beyond the door, however, as it sends a big mother and a tank at us. If I did make it this far legitimately, I think it'd be quite simple to kill them both. But again, the pressure would be on if I had beaten everything else prior to this. One mistake would end the run here at the finish line.
Holy shit, buddy. A very effective scare tactic.
Extraction is right after this, and it starts an air alarm of giant chargers. But, you know, we do have a solution, and that solution is gun. That's the final mission of the 4th rundown. Overall, I'd give it a thumbs up out of 10. It's definitely doable, but it's going to take so much more effort and luck to get through. It'll be worthy of a proper training montage when I eventually get around to it. I just have to get insanely good at killing tanks. It'll come in handy later. We're at 31 out of 35 missions completed, and I would say 3 of those missions are very reasonable to beat. The next video in this series will cover rundowns 5 and 6 of course, with a total of 26 levels. A lot of them fall into the category that R4C2 falls into, as they're just hard enough that I'll have to grind for a lucky run and perfect execution. I can't wait to show off everything. The response to the first video was very pleasant, and I'm glad that I could entertain some of you for a few hours. I hope that this video shows that I'm working hard to improve my editing skills, besides the higher quality footage anyways. Let me know what you thought. I'll leave a pinned comment detailing my plans for the next video. But otherwise, subscribe for more antics, and much love to all of you.